you ready to do this?
Every former athlete wishes they could go back.
Love the game. It gave me so much. You have a small window of this thing. Enjoy it.
This is A New Path, a sports podcast, hosted by Peyton Schmitz.
Welcome back into the New Path podcast here. I'm your host, Peyton, as always, and today is a special episode. Not that every episode's not special, but this one in particular, get to have a former football player and track and field thrower of my dad's, but also a friend on. His name is Carleton McGrady. He's the current defensive coordinator at Bexley High School in Columbus, Ohio. Carleton, how are we doing today?
Oh, Peyton, I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Appreciate you asking that. I'm doing good, man. School's a little crazy, but I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm happy to be on the show with you.
Hey, there you go, and I'm happy to be here as well, you know, with everything going on in life, I always say. It's good to be seen and viewed.
Absolutely. So, yeah, for anybody listening to the podcast for the first time, this is a show dedicated to talking about former athletes and kind of the experiences that they went through. I myself am a former athlete, but also everybody on the show is. And last week we had former Major League catcher Eric Fryer come on the show. And this week we have, as I mentioned, Bexley defensive coordinator Carleton McGrady. He also played football at the University of Findlay, where he also threw track and field. But we're gonna throw it back to your high school days, Carleton. We're gonna live some of the past. So do you, what do you remember about high school? What was that experience like, being a two-sport athlete? Because you, my friend, are our first guest that is a certified two-sport athlete.
Oh, wow. Now the pressure's really on, huh?
Yeah. Elevated the pressure. You got to be on today, man.
I love it. I'm gonna take it back to my freshman year because when I was entering high school, my brother had just graduated. So brother was a big deal, right, in high school, makes it to state. So when I come in, everybody's like, oh, you're his younger brother. So, like, in my mind, it's like, I got to live up to an expectation, right? I'm thankful I had coaches like your dad who instilled a work ethic into me where, like, I wanted to be not only as good as my brother, but I wanted to be better than my brother, even though he and I played different positions and did different events. So, like, my high school experience was great. I wouldn't change it for the world, like the ups, the downs. Like, even when I was dumb and I broke my hand and I couldn't compete, right? I everything was a life lesson, and I tried to instill that in all the kids. So I absolutely loved high school. Your dad was honestly the biggest part of high school for me, just because the things he instilled in me and still instills in me to this day. I mean, you know the relationship he and I have. We talk. We compete, right? He kind of beats me every Friday night in the fall, but it's whatever. I'm not going to talk about that. No, so like high school was amazing for me just because of that aspect of the people in my life who helped get me to where I needed to be and helped keep me out of trouble. Like I said, your dad is probably one of, if not the biggest part of that.
Yeah, we all have those role models, those people in our lives, especially in high school, who kind of help us out with that a little bit. So, it's really cool for me
Absolutely.
to get to talk to you about this stuff because, when you were in high school, I was just born.
Yeah. Yeah, like you and your sister, I remember like so young. I was like, my gosh, like it's funny. I was talking to somebody today about both of you. I was like, man, I remember when both of them were born. I've held both of them. Like I remember when you guys came up for my senior day in college, right? Like we were sitting there talking about it. Now it's like we fast forward, like here we are. I'm like, good Lord, has it really been that long? Yeah.
Yeah. Time flies, man. I can't even believe it myself some days. It's like, man, wasn't I just a little kid running around the football field? And now I'm in here talking about sports on podcasts. So, hey, life happens. But to kind of circle things back to you a little bit, kind of talk about, your experience with sports, like what made you fall in love with it as a little kid. You mentioned your older brother, which he went on to play at that school down south on 75 that us University of Toledo students don't like to talk about, but kind of talk about your relationship with sports.
I mean, my relationship with sports started early on. my mom was like one of the biggest like sports heads that I knew, right? So my mom is the daughter of an NFL player. So my grandfather drafted in 1957, same draft as Jim Brown he was out of Kent State. So like sports was big in our family. Grew up going to Cleveland Browns games, at the time Indians games in Old Municipal Stadium. So like sports were a part of our life. Ironically, before I fell in love with football and track, soccer was actually my first love. We had a little soccer league growing up, so everybody in the neighborhood played soccer, and that's where it all started for me. Like you couldn't find my brother and I inside the house. We were always outside throwing the football, playing basketball, doing whatever we could, racing bikes, like just trying to do anything competitive, whether it's like with each other or with our friends in the neighborhood. Like we were always doing something. And I mean, sports, like I said, shaped me to who I am today, because it taught me teamwork, organization, how to be on time for everything. I mean, like I try to tell people, sports is one of the biggest things that will help shape your life and teach you those values that you need for the rest of your life. Like punctuality, I think, is one of the biggest keys. I mean, like your dad gave me a hard lesson in that on why I should never show up late to a practice. And to this day, the one time I showed up late, I had a consequence, and I don't show up late for things just because of that one time freshman year of high school. But yeah, sports was every day of my life as a kid. Like I honestly don't recall not doing something in the summer, in the fall, in the spring. Like, didn't do track so much just because we didn't really have a track to go to until we moved further into Reynoldsburg. I used to go to Groveport when I was growing up. But, oh, man, I remember the first time I played football. We did RYF, which I don't even think RYF is still existing anymore. But, but yeah, that was the thing. Like, went to RYF, played football there. And then from RYF, it just took off. So, yeah, loved sports as a kid.
Yeah, that's kind of a theme that we're getting here on the show. You know, everybody's like, fell in love with it as a little kid, and so it's really cool to see how people go different directions. From that element. We all have a love of it as children, and some people go down the coaching route like you did. Some people make it professionally. Some people never make it past high school, and that's okay. And everybody's got a different experience. So we talked a little bit about your time at Reynoldsburg. If you're familiar with Reynoldsburg, talked to Eric Fryer. He went to Reynoldsburg. That's my alma mater. So we share that in common. We'll talk about Reynoldsburg a little bit later during talking about your coaching career. But let's talk about Findlay a little bit. You attended there from 2003 to 2007. So you were a two-sport athlete there. I mean, a two-sport athlete, let alone in high school, is difficult. But college, I can't even imagine. Like, what was that like?
So it had its challenges, but I did not do track until I was completely done with football. And the only reason why is I remember I went to my position coach freshman year because I had the notion of I wanted to do track as well. But he had told me I had to do spring ball. So I knew, like, that's a lot as a freshman, right? It's like I'm having to do spring ball, I'm having to do track at the same time and then still go to class. Right. So I knew I had to make a choice, and I chose to just focus on football and focus on my studies. But to talk about Findlay, I love Findlay, even though it's a private school, right? Like you don't get that state funding. Really expensive, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Like I love the small college atmosphere. I feel like I had a more personal relationship with a lot of my teachers. I felt like I could just literally just walk in, talk about any and everything, and feel good. I had conversations with our athletic director on numerous occasions just because I'd be in the same building with him. Even our president of the university, rest his soul, his name was Debo Freed. I would see him and sit there and have a conversation with him at the little coffee shop across the street from the university. So I love the atmosphere. Gained some lifelong friends who, like, four of them became my groomsmen. So
okay, wow.
Yeah, like we came in as freshmen, and it was ironic. All of us played defense, which is really interesting. We all played at different levels. I was D-line, we had a linebacker, and the other two were DBs. So it worked out great. But no, I actually love Findlay. I learned some hardships, right, in terms of how not to study for tests and how you should probably do that. But wouldn't change it for the world. My brother was 20 minutes away from me, so if I needed anything, I knew I could call him or rely on him. And it worked out for my mom as well. Like with my dad being overseas for the war, it was always great to have our mom come up to our games on a Saturday. Whoever's game was first, go there, and then the next day, Sunday, we're all going to breakfast together. That was our whole thing my freshman year. And but with Finley, the football was fun. Longest road trip, I think we had to go to the UP, the Upper Peninsula. That was I learned. I had no idea people actually lived there until I had played 2 games there. The college, my good lord, people live there. Right? 15-hour bus drive. Don't ever want to do it again.
Oh, geez. That doesn't sound very fun at all.
Oh no, and especially when the game started at 7:00 at night on a Saturday.
Oh.
We didn't get back till about Sunday, 5:00 in the afternoon. It was insane. Yeah, that's you learn kind of those little things like there. Like my brother and like when you take the BCs and Toledo's for Ohio State, they're flying to games where we never once flew to a game. Like never. That was our longest trip. We had a 15-hour, and there was one later here we took 12 hours. So, and that's just a small college lifestyle playing football. You don't really fly places that much.
Oh yeah, it's that D3, D2 kind of small school college vibe that you're talking about, and college experience. You're playing in college. Did you have any professional aspirations? I mean, every athlete as a little kid does, but when you were getting towards the end of your college career, were you like, maybe I'll try and push my luck, or were you like, no, I think I'm good?
Oh, I mean, yeah, like you said, everybody has that aspiration, right? Like you always say, I'm gonna go pro. I'm gonna go pro. Like for me, I always wanted to try. Like this, I tried it, but then I kept getting further on in the career. Like body just gets banged up, right? I had 2 separated shoulders. I had a torn knee junior year, so I'm like, body is just beat up. And I came to terms with it senior year. I was like, I'm gonna be done after this. Like I'm okay with it. Like I am perfectly fine. I don't regret anything in life. I think everything happens for a reason. So, I didn't regret not trying a pro day or anything. I was perfectly fine being done. And to this day, I still am. People ask all the time, like, why did you do a pro day? I'm like, I knew I was done. And that's okay. I think everybody understands when there's time to hang them up and they're ready to hang them up, you hang them up. And it's okay. Like, you live with it. And I'm, to this day, almost 20-something years later. But 18 years later, I'm still fine with that decision.
I mean, that's a really healthy mindset to go about, because, you talk to some athletes and they're like, still felt like I had some left in the tank. And, for you to really feel confident about it, I mean, 20 years later, like you said, that's really healthy, and that's really awesome to hear. So kind of part of the show, and I talked about this earlier when we first started, it's really diving into kind of the mental aspect of it and what that was like. And so for you, it was a very healthy relationship with coming to terms with the end of it. But do you miss playing? Do you miss those days? Do you miss putting on the pads or getting in the ring?
So sometimes I really do, right? Sometimes. And then I tell myself how much I did not like to practice. And it wasn't so much the aspect of practice. There were certain nuances I really didn't care for. And it was maybe a drill I know we're going to do every Monday, right? I didn't like it. But then there were aspects oh, okay, we're doing one-on-ones today. Great. I know we're going to do team today. Great. I know we're doing half line. I loved it. I absolutely love doing half line. I love doing team and inside run. But parts of individuals, couldn't stand it. And that was just who I was. But I don't miss those parts. I don't miss camp. Even as a coach today, I don't miss but it's part of the game. Now in terms of getting in the ring, I do miss throwing, and there's every now and then before the kids come out, I'll throw a little bit, and they're like, why do you do that? I go, it's therapeutic, right? It just puts you in a good feeling, puts you in a good mood. I love doing it. I'm just doing a couple of throws here and there just to stretch out a little bit and just have some fun, just to relax, clear your head. It's kind of like people listening to music, right? I do that, but I love just getting in the ring just to do it, just to clear my thoughts sometimes, and just push you in a better mood. Now, can I still go out there and make me show them a thing or two? Maybe, but I'm getting up there. Body hurts after a while.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens when you get older, it's a part of it. So unlike previous guests we've had on the show, you're actually our first, not only were you our first multi-sport guest, but you're also our first guest that went into coaching. And so we're
Oh,
going to
nice.
kind of spend some time about talking about what that was like first starting off. I mean, assuming my information is correct, your first official coaching job was as the 7th and 8th grade throws coach at Reynoldsburg.
That is correct. A lot of people don't know that.
2009, for anybody wondering.
Yes, yes. Man, you are on it.
Hey, I got you. But yeah, so we'll kind of dive into each sport differently. But football, that was probably. I mean, did you have a love between the two, or did you love track and field and football evenly, or what?
So as an athlete, I tell everybody, like, I love football. Like, I absolutely love football, right? Like, I mean, I went to school for it. Like, it was in my family's blood in terms of my grandfather and everything. But I had the absolute most fun when I was in track. And then maybe it's because it was more of it, like, it's an individual sport, and it was really like one of those sports. What you put into it is what you get out of it, and I really loved that. Like, so if I didn't work, I wasn't gonna get the results I saw. But I loved track a lot more than I did football. And there's people look at me like, really? I'm like, no. Like, there's just something about track, like, it brings it out of you. Not that football doesn't, but yeah, like, as an athlete, track is my number one. Even though I really do love football, and like, a lot of times it's the same way with coaching. And I think only reason right now is just how long our football seasons are. You know, it can be a little grueling, especially when, like, you have a family or away from things, so it's a little taxing. And I'm gonna throw this in here. I say this to everyone, and I always say it to my wife: if you are the spouse of a coach, you have the absolute hardest job. Like, I don't think spouses of coaches get enough recognition because it really is a tough job being the spouse of a coach.
Yeah, I mean, especially high school sports in particular, obviously, if you're talking about, NFL coaches, they're maybe willing to look past that sort of, but high school coaches, it's a different atmosphere. So yeah, good on you. Good on you. Shout out all the spouses out there doing a great job. I mean, my mom always did a really good job of being supportive of
Yeah,
my dad, and so yeah, no, that's a absolutely great point.
absolutely. Yeah, your mom was a second mom to me. So, like, she looked out for us when we all would come over.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. She used to make lasagna for my dad's football players when they would come
Oh
over.
yeah,
It was always an adventure. But so
yeah.
yeah, but kind of jumping back in here. Um, so we'll start with track and field then. So you've really only coached track and field at one school, so that's a little bit different than your
Hmm.
football experience. So I mean,
Correct.
you've been at Bexley since 2012. So
Yep.
I mean, how's that been? Is it nice getting to stay at one place and you kind of build that history there? You've had some really good throwers there. Uh,
Yeah.
you had a thrower go
Yeah.
to Iowa, right?
She's at Iowa. Sydney Smith, sophomore year at Iowa right now. So, I mean, ideally, she's the most decorated thrower. I mean, not just for me, but you can add school history just because of the things she did. But yeah, being at one school it's been great. Like you said, I remember when I first came in, my whole mindset was I want to see where the program has been, where it's at right now, and then my goal was to take it where it hasn't been. And I'll be honest, like, you know me, I'm not one to sit here, like, toot my own horn, but I will say I think we've raised the bar for our program over the years since 2012. I mean, just last year was the first time we did not have a conference champion since 2014. So when I sat there
Wow.
and thought about that, wow, like, we were really doing some damage. And I always think the athletes, I said, that's just you guys believing in what I'm trying to instill in you. So that's where we've built the program. And then, like, we've had district finalists every single year. And now when I first got there, the expectation was, okay, compete at the league meet. Then it was, let's win the league. Okay, let's qualify for regionals, win regionals. Let's qualify for states. Okay, and then win states. We got a state champion, right? So like the expectation it raises, and I think I'm seeing that in terms of the numbers. Like the last couple of years, the numbers have just grown just because I think of the success we're having. I mean, this year alone, there's 27 throwers and 15 of them are freshmen.
Wow.
Yeah, I always say it's a great problem to have, right? That means we're building a program, and that's all, and that's what I want, right? So when the day I decide to step away, it's like, okay, I know I can say, this is where I'm leaving it. You guys can continue it and do it even better than I did it. Right? And that's what I want, and that's really what I want. Because now the kids understand. You make it to regionals, our success rate of making it to states. I mean, we've had 8 people make it to regionals, only 6 didn't make it to the state meet.
Wow.
That's back. Sorry, only 2 didn't make it to the state meet. 6 made it to the state meet.
Wow. That's great things happening over at the Bexley Throws program. That's really awesome. You've really created a great environment there over the last 13 or so years, which is kind of crazy to say, but yeah, that's I mean that's amazing. I mean, I remember when you first got that and heard my dad come home. He's like, "Oh yeah, Bexley's got a new throws coach. It's gonna be Carleton." I'm like, "All right, that's awesome." And now look at you. I mean, that's awesome. Kind of
Year 14.
Yeah, you're 14, man. That's awesome. I mean, track and field season right around the corner, or is in session. So, hey, maybe another one coming your way.
I'm hoping. We're getting there. We're young, but we're starting to produce some good marks. We had a meet last night. Actually, we're at Pick North on Saturday. Actually.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And so then, in terms of football, that's kind of been a different story. So kind of walk me through your football coaching journey from your perspective, really. I mean, like, what was that like? You played as an athlete, and some athletes, they're like, yeah, I want to go to coaching, and they're like, I never want to touch it again. But you're like, yeah, let's go into coaching. So what was that like?
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. It was the fall of 2010. I'm actually sitting at it was the St. Charles and Jonathan Alder game. I'm actually sitting next to your mom because your dad invited me to the game. I'm just watching the game, and at the time I didn't always have an opportunity to come back and see some high school games, but I had a free Friday night. Actually, yeah, I think the game was on Friday night, so I'm just sitting there watching, and I remember telling your mom, like, man, how crazy would it be if me and your dad could coach? I was like, man, that'd be crazy, right? Now, not thinking it's gonna happen, but like you never know. Like, never know. And I'll never forget that February, your dad calls me and he says, hey, we have an opening. I didn't care what position it was. I was like, I'm doing it. Like, to me, the opportunity to not only just get to coach high school football, but I got a chance to coach with a man that I truly love and admire as a mentor to me. So, like, my brain was like, yes, I'm doing it. And little did I know, I just agreed to coach running back. And I was like, I didn't play running back, but hey, I'm going to make it work. So I was willing to do it. So then I get hired on at St. Charles. And then now a good friend of mine, he gets hired on at St. Charles. Matt Merritt, who's the coach at the U, he actually gets hired on to be the running backs coach. And I end up switching to linebackers, which I loved linebackers. At the time, your dad's not the D coordinator. So I started at St. Charles. There for 5 years. All right, loved it. That third year, 2013 season, we did something that hadn't been done in St. Charles in years. We beat the Sales for the first time in 36 years. Actually, whooped them 36-0. Still remember. We beat Waterston. So now we beat Waterston and the Sales for the first time in the same season in almost 6 years, and then we win the league title for the first time in over 6 years, which still, since then, has not been done at St. Charles. So now you're going on 12 plus years since that's happened. Then unfortunately, after the 2015 season, the school decided to make a change, kind of left all of us out of the job. I was on my way to going to Lyndon McKinley with former St. Charles coach Jason Ryan, who got the job at Lyndon, and I get a call from a guy who used to coach with Shane Scherf. He was at Riddlesburg, which is alma mater. He said, hey, I'm leaving. I'm going to put in a good word for you so you can come home to your alma mater. I was like, oh, wow. And I never thought about actually coaching at Reynoldsburg. I did. It just never crossed my mind. I was like, there's no opportunities, and I was like, never thought of it. Then this opens up, and I meet with Coach White, and then next thing I know, here I am coaching at my alma mater, and it felt good, right? It felt great. The year I came into Reynoldsburg, the year before, oh, listen, I'm way ahead of the game. I actually went to Upper Arlington before I went to Reynoldsburg. I'm skipping teams. I ended up going to Upper Arlington first, and I'm there for 3 years. My first year, we go 8-2. We don't make the playoffs, which is really weird, right? You go 8-2, you don't make the playoffs, and your only losses are to teams with winning records, but you beat a semifinalist team, which is really weird.
That is weird.
My last year there, some things happened where our head coach ended up getting suspended for a game, which was like, that was a whole another mess in itself, unfortunately. So then he gets let go. And then I get a call to go to Reynoldsburg. So I end up going to Reynoldsburg, which was fun because my last year at Upper Arlington, we actually played Reynoldsburg when they went 10-2 that season in 2018. So they're coming off a huge, huge season. You know, one of the best since we made the playoffs my junior year. We went 9-3 that year, which was the first time we made the playoffs 2001. So they're at Reynoldsburg for 4 years, and then got the opportunity to coach with a teammate, Mark Fillmore, my last year. But then now I'm now working in Bexley in terms of in the building, and I had an opportunity to come to Bexley and coach. And for me, it was a no-brainer just because I now got to do everything at one school. Like having to travel all the time to get to practice, it can be taxing. And at the time when I first started coaching, I was working at a place all the way out in Buckeye Lake, so I'm driving far. So the thought of being able to literally get done with work, just go downstairs and go coach, it spoke volumes to me. And now this fall will be my 3rd year at Bexley. So yeah, I've been all over the place, and you know me, I'm big on stats. When I get to week 7 this fall, that'll be my 150th game I've coached in football.
Wow. 150.
Yeah.
That's truly amazing, man. Congratulations on 150.
I truly appreciate it. It's hard to believe I'll be in year 15, too.
I mean, that, too. That's a milestone in and of itself.
Oh, man. Been doing it a while, and I still love it.
So, kind of with all of that, with your experience coaching and as a player, we really want to find out, the big picture question is like, what lessons have you learned from your time in sports that you would pass on to current athletes, maybe going through a time where they're realizing their time with sports is over, or maybe it's somebody who played sports and wants to get into coaching? What's the grand advice that Carleton McGrady has for the world?
Ooh, man. I mean, there's so many, lessons I've learned over the years, whether it's through playing, through coaching. I mean, the biggest thing I can, for sure, for coaching, I think a lot of coaches say this now, you have to not just tell them that you care, but you have to show them that you care. I think nowadays athletes are big on that relationship piece, and you got to show them that you really, truly do care. And it's not just from a sports standpoint, right? I think one of the biggest things you hear about now, a lot of people talking about, is mental health, right? So
yeah,
you got to be there for them mentally as well. And I always tell the athletes, I said, I'm gonna push you to be your absolute best. I expect you to be your absolute best, but I also am going to be able to have these conversations with you. Like, we can just talk about life, right? Because we all go through things, and that's the thing I remind them. I go, I'm human too. There's things I'm going to go through. Maybe I just need a moment, and we can just sit there and talk, and we can just have a conversation. It doesn't even have to be about sports. Like, I think sometimes those have been like the best conversations I've had with athletes, where you just start talking about life. Right? I've had hours-long conversations just because we just started talking, and wasn't about football, wasn't about track. It was just about life. So I think show them that you really, truly care outside of the sports aspect. And they're already going to know you care about them in sports. But like, show them that you care about them as a person. Show you care about their life, their well-being, their mental capacity, what they're going to do maybe the next part of their life, whether that is, hey, maybe they're going to go to college to do sports, or maybe they're just going to go to college. Okay, what college are they going to? What are they majoring in? Right? I ask kids all the time, oh, where are you going? What are you going to major in? Or if you're not going to college, what are you going to do? What's the next adventure? How can I help? Right? I think that's what I've learned over the years, and a lot of it's because that's what people did for me. You know, I'm paying it forward. Somebody did it for me. I'm doing it for someone else. You know, I would say another life lesson: organization. Oh man, being in sports has taught me how to be organized. To picking out clothes and making sure I was ready to go, setting my alarm at a certain time so I knew I could wake up in time and have plenty of time to do the things I need to do before I had to go to class, before I had to go to practice. To, as a coach, you know, organization of practice plans. Okay, what are we going to work on today? We're going to have film study. We're going to hit the weight room. All right, or we're just going to do a team bonding. I'm big on doing team bonding, right?
Yeah.
Like, we'll go to the movies. They always want to do paintball. I always tell them they don't want this working paintball. I'm precise with my shot. But we've gone to escape rooms, right? We've gone bowling, but we've done so many different things. We did last year. We played kickball.
Okay.
Yeah, so we mix it up a lot. So like, we have fun with it, but like I said, but the biggest thing, show them that you care.
Yeah. That having that caring aspect, you know, especially in today's world with everything that's going on in the world, you know, you really want to show them that you care, and that's really great that you have that mindset. Not a lot of coaches do, but you do.
Unfortunately,
Bexley's got a good one in Carleton McGrady, and
appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, all love here from the New Path podcast in terms of, you know, every guest we have on the show, whether it's Jay Schroeder a couple weeks ago, Eric Fryer last week, or this week with you, Carleton. It has been such a pleasure to have you on the show. Is there any last bit of tidbit that you want athletes out there to know that you wish you had known?
Oh man, that's a good question. Honestly, it's going to be hard. Like, I always, like, people will sit here and tell you, you know, going to become a college athlete, oh, like, it's going to be hard. Like, no, like, it really is. Like, if you're not used to the early wake ups, the constant, oh, this is what my schedule is. And what I mean by that, like, you're literally, you know, you may have meetings in the morning, you may have lifting in the morning, then you're going to breakfast, then you're going to class. You may have a meeting in the midday before your next class, then you have practice later on, then you have another meeting. Like, college sports, and now because you get paid for it, it truly is a job. And I think sometimes people don't realize that. And I also say, in high school, do multiple sports. I've seen too many times where kids do one sport and they'll do that for a year. Like, especially, I just go in baseball, like, and you know as well as I know, like, you have travel ball. A lot of people do travel ball.
Yep.
I've seen people get burnt out freshman year of college because, like, man, I just got tired with baseball because you did it so much. So I always try to tell people, do multiple sports so you don't get burnt out on that one sport. And you'd be surprised, you might learn something new. You might learn a new technique that you can take into your main sport.
Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, I played baseball, and you're absolutely right. You know, you play that year round, it does get to you eventually. Yeah, sometimes I wish I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I'd kind of done something else. But, you know, hey, I'm here and I get to do this awesome podcast now. So I am so thankful for the journey I went through, and it sounds like you had a really interesting journey to get to where you are now. You big social media guy, Carleton? You got anywhere people can follow you, or are you just like, no, just enjoy this episode?
No, I do have my Instagram. I have Twitter, which I got convinced to get both of them from the athletes. Before that, it was like, I'm old school. I just had Facebook, right? And all the kids were like, no, you got to get Twitter, coach. You got to get Instagram and IG and all that. I was like, all right, I'll do it just for you guys. And now since then, I use it all the time. I love to post the athletes on there because I do a lot. Like, it's a rite of passage now for the throwers. So I created a throwers Twitter account, throwers IG. So the rite of passage is the seniors get to run the throwers Instagram account all year. So now obviously everything has to get approved first before they decide to post anything, but they love posting different videos and memes, and then they like to post each other in terms of when they hit PRs. Like, that's something they started. I didn't even tell them to post the PR. So yeah, but if people want to follow me on both Instagram and Twitter, the handle is just Coach_CMAC614 for both of them.
Alrighty, awesome. Thank you so much, Carleton, for coming on the show. Be sure to tune in next week for another former athlete coming on the show to learn about their story and everything that goes into being a coach, doing something else, or anything in between. For the New Path podcast, I'm your host, Peyton. We've been joined by the wonderful Carleton McGrady, and we hope to see you next time. And who knows, maybe the Cincinnati Reds won't choke a game next week. Until next time, have a great rest of your day.